So we're going live. So good morning. This is Aya Subhijana speaking. And we're going to discuss a sutta teaching to Mahāpajāpatī Gotami. She requested teaching from the Lord Buddha. And we just look at in detail the teaching. And also her motivation for learning. So I'm going to share the sutta. See. Should be it. Okay. So everyone can see that. So I have actually 3 translations here. And this first one is of Ajahn Tanisaro's, and it may have been the first version of this I read. I kind of like some of the way he's translated the sutta. So this is, let's see, something's like, okay, I see what's going on. All right, so I'll start reading. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Uttam dhammam sangham namasami. So this I'll start reading the translation by Ajahn Tanisaro's, and he's translated it to Gotami. I have heard that one time the Blessed One was staying in Vesali in the peaked roof hall in the great forest. Then Mahāpajāpatī Gotami went to the Blessed One, and on arrival, having bowed down to him, stood to one side. As she was standing there, she said to him, "It would be good, Lord, if the Blessed One would teach me the Dhamma in brief, such that having heard the Dhamma from the Blessed One, I might dwell alone, secluded, heedful, ardent, and resolute." So this is Mahāpajāpatī Gotami wishing to, what we might say, go into retreat, or she wants to go into seclusion. And someone pointed out that this is showing that even at the time of the Buddha, that was not a big deal that bhikkhuni would go by herself or go into a secluded situation. So the Buddha just starts to instruct her. Doesn't say where she's going into. She could be going into hut in a monastic situation, like with other kutis, other meditation huts around, but usually they're kind of scattered around in the forest. So she's wishing to go into seclusion. So this is the Buddha speaking. "Go to me, the qualities of which you may know. These qualities lead to passion, not to dispassion, to being fettered, not to being unfettered, to accumulating, not to shedding, to self-aggrandizement, not to modesty, to discontent, not to contentment, to entanglement, not to seclusion, to laziness, not to arouse persistence, to being burdensome, not to being unburdensome. You may categorically hold, this is not the Dhamma, this is not the Vinaya, this is not the teacher's instruction. Excuse me, these actually go together. I think I divided it incorrectly there. So he's telling her actually that she should really decide for herself, really investigate for herself. What is the Dhamma? What is the, Vinaya is the monastic code, and this is not the teacher's instruction. So especially when the word teacher is capitalized, that would indicate the Buddha. But so he's really telling her to investigate for herself based on these, if these qualities are leading you away from these, this next group is the opposite. It's so once I start reading it, you'll see. But so what qualities do we want to develop in ourselves? And it's just this word quality is Dhamma. And we'll look at the translation of this in just a minute. So these are what are leading us away from the Dhamma. And these are the ones that are leading us towards the Dhamma. As for the qualities of which you may know, these qualities lead to dispassion, not to passion, to being unfettered, not to being fettered, to shedding, not to accumulating, to modesty, not to self-aggrandizement, to contentment, not to discontent, to seclusion, not to entanglement, to arouse persistence, not to laziness, to being unburdensome, not to being burdensome. You may categorically hold, this is the Dhamma, this is the Vinaya, this is the teacher's instruction. That is what the Blessed One said, gratified. Mahāpajāpatī Gotami delighted at his words. So this is, as I said, Ajahn Thanissaro's translation, which I think is really good. This is Bhante Sujato's translation, and this word Sankita means in brief. And it's a brief advice to Gotami is how Bhante Sujato translated and titled this. So just, and this is really, you find this in the sutras frequently, that a monastic will come to the Buddha and they're ready to go into seclusion. They feel like that it's time for them to go into seclusion. And sometimes the Buddha says, no, this is not a good time. But if he does just give the instruction, then has confidence in that monastic or that person that it's a good time for them to go into seclusion. So he just gave Mahāpajāpatī this teaching. And it's basically too that he has so much confidence in her that she should be able to judge this for herself based on these qualities. So I have the Pali and the because Bhante Sujato on Sutta Central will have both. You can get a view of the sutta with both the English and the Pali. So I have the Pali here, and then we'll look at some of the Pali, the key Pali words after I read this translation. So this is Bhante Sujato's. At one time, the Buddha was staying near Vesali in the great wood in the hall with the peaked roof. Then Mahāpajāpatī Gotami went up to the Buddha, bowed, stood to one side, and said to him, "Sir, may the Blessed One teach me the Dhamma in brief. When I've heard it, I'll live alone, withdrawn, diligent, keen, and resolute." And then I have Ajahn Tanisaro, I just repeated it again. I was just comparing these words. I might dwell alone, secluded, heedful, ardent, and resolute. So these are really, these words here, this series of words are repeated in the suttas frequently. You'll see these dwelling or living, either secluded, withdrawn is how Bhante Sujata translated it. Secluded, heedful. So this is apamata, keen and resolute. So I have these words here. And Eka, she's asking to be alone, single, solitary. And she's saying that she's developing these qualities of inner seclusion. There's a word, I don't think I translated it. So this is the Eka here, is one or alone. Let's see, Eka, here it is. And this is Wupakata, that's secluded or isolated, withdrawn. And this word withdrawn too could be going inwards, as like samadhi, you're pulling away from the external senses. So this may be why Bhante Sujato chose withdrawn. It's not like being depressed or something like that, but it's not being attracted outwardly. And there's this word apamata here. And this word apamado is a form of this, another form of this word. And it's sometimes translated as heedful, but there's diligent, vigilant, careful about, and attentive. So these are like qualities that will help support a person that for their meditation or in their daily life. And then atapi is ardent, zealous, with continuous effort. So they have withdrawn, diligent, keen. Keen is the atapi, and the resolute. Pahitata, determined, applying oneself. So there's a kind of persistence here and some amount of energy that one is applying. And I was just thinking about anything that we do, if we have, a certain amount of diligence or vigilance or being careful about, we're going to do it well. Even if it's something like keeping the water pitcher that's filtering our water, and I fill it carefully, and I'm really diligent to make sure it's kept full, and I'm wiping up the spilled water, things like that. And so there's this continuous effort and determined or applying oneself. So this is like, as if we do this during our meditation, we'll be successful. But if we're not, we won't be successful. And this last week, we looked at this sutta, and it has these same words in it: dwells heedful, ardent, and resolute. And there are the five bases or opportunities for freedom or liberation, by which if a person, it doesn't have to be a bhikkhu, dwells heedful, ardent, and resolute, their unliberated mind is liberated, and their undestroyed taints are utterly destroyed, and they reach the as yet unreached, unsurpassed security from bondage. This is Venerable Bhikkhu Bodhi's translation. So it's and one of the basis or opportunities for liberation is hearing the teaching. And this is what what Mahāpajāpatī Gotami has the opportunity to hear the teaching directly from the Buddha. So then it goes, Gotami, you might know that certain things, and this is interesting because both Bhikkhu Bodhi and Bhante Sujato translates Dhamma as things, and Ajahn Thanisaro translated it as qualities. You may know these qualities or these things. So this word Dhamma, this is 7 out of 14 I found in the dictionary. So nature, quality, that's teaching, mental phenomena, mental state, matter, thing, phenomena, truth, reality, principle, truth behind the teaching. So it may be that Bhante Sujato and Bhante Bodhi chose thing because it's pretty wide open. It can, you could interpret it as in many ways. And I also thought about how mental states, if the mental states are leading one way or another, or character or nature, developing a certain nature or quality in oneself, or leading us one way or another. So there's this word too, janayasi, and the word jhana is this is derived from that. This janayasi is derived from this word, knowing, being aware of, understanding. And there's this nya, which has to do with knowledge. And they say you might know, but I would interpret this as you should know. I kind of had this idea that he was saying, because this is an optative form, which could be should, or it could be may, should, would, no. So he's giving her an instruction, so he might be giving it a little bit strong that you should know, or you might know, but that seems a little weak to me. These things or qualities or mental states lead to passion, not to dispassion. So, and this is, so if we see in ourselves that passion is coming up, or passion, this raga, this is saragaya. Raga is like desire, a form of desire, passion, being attracted or having desire for. And this is samyogaya, is yoking to not being unyoked. So that's being bound to accumulation, not to dispersal. We'll get to these individual translations a little further down. To more desires, not to fewer. To lack of contentment, not to contentment. To crowding, not to seclusion. To laziness, not to energy. To being burdensome, not to being unburdensome. Categorically, you should remember, here's this word, should. These things are not the teaching, not the training, and not the teacher's instructions. I might have changed that to should. I think I might have done that because I like it. Should is better at this point. Or you might know these certain things. That's how. Lead to dispassion. This is the second part, not to passion. So this is where this is what we should be aiming towards, is seeing in ourselves or in our circumstances that these things decrease desire in ourselves. So the Buddha says that craving or desire is a cause of suffering. So, and if we're going into seclusion and we're wishing to have peaceful states of mind, if passion or desire is coming up, then it's a disturbance. But if there's this fading away, is another way this viraga is translated, or fading of desire. And then, or for dispassion or towards detachment. And there's this word indifference, but I don't particularly think that's a useful. I mean, maybe it is, you're not interested in some things anymore, like things that used to arouse a lot of desire. And so, so you're not attracted to going to places or hanging out with people and chatting about certain things that bring up a lot of passion or desire, or whatever, whatever you would think would lead you towards more desire or passion. So this is leading away from strong desire. And there's this to yoking, not unyoking. This is a wisam yoga, and that's translated as release, liberation from, and emancipation. So I grabbed that. I like that translation because the word here, yoking, samyoga, bound, bondage, fetter, attachment. So this is being freed to being unyoked. This is Bhante Sujato likes to translate it literally, because there's literally yoga is yoke, or yoke, being yoked. So it's like an animal that's yoked or tethered to this heavy burden. And then there's this word, I just put this word here, samyojana. Some people might recognize that. That's the fetters, chains, bond, thing which binds. And there's the 10 samyojanas. These are what bind us to samsara. I won't get into detail about those today, but so it's interesting, this samyoga is being bound or fettered. And then I put released, freedom, emancipation, detachment. for that one. So what is keeping us bound? What is, if we look at ourselves, and what are we bound to? And what is keeping us bound? And to dispersal, not accumulation. That's a apachaya, this decrease, reduction, dispersal, discarding. And yeah, if you've moved recently, or you might remember moving from one place to another, and how burdensome it is if you have accumulated a lot of stuff. And I remember when I went into monastic life, I was giving stuff away, and there was boxes of things that I had moved several times that I had on a high shelf. And I remember looking at it, and I moved these things and I never even used them. There's some attachment or something there, like just accumulating things, and it's hard to let go of. So, how can we stop that? And this could be also accumulating internally a lot of thoughts and ideas, and we don't useless information. How much, like I look outside and I see a bird, and I go, oh, I don't recognize that bird. I don't know what the name of that bird is. And is it really important? I'll like to go and look it up and find out the name and have a name for it. Can I just appreciate the bird, as something beautiful in nature? Do I, so there's a lot of useless accumulation of information as well as stuff. And so all that just kind of burdens us. And this, it ties into to fewer desires, not more. Apicca taya samvatanti. This word samvatanti is to lead to. No, mahicca taya. So icca is wishes. Another way of translating it, icca is wishes. So this is great wishes. Maha is great. And then the vowel here morphed into an I. So this great desires, not leading to great desires, but to fewer desires. So what qualities of mind can we develop, and what behaviors can we develop so that it's not leading us to greatness of desires, but to few desires? And then it's actually kind of like a sequence. When you're content, you don't have so many desires. So some people know Aya Santusika, and her name means one who is content. And one who is content. So Santuti is contentment, satisfaction. So, and then not to lack of contentment. So when we're discontent, we're not settled, we're wishing for things. I think these are, and then there's this being bound to, so we kind of, this is all just heading towards being more free. So paviveka is translated as seclusion, and some people might recognize this viveka. So the seclusion is both physical and mental. And pa makes an emphasis on a word, if the word has pa in it. So I think this is like really deep seclusion, not just physical seclusion, but mental seclusion. And the deepest seclusion is nibbana, just being uh, total release and seclusion. And then there's the word Sanghanikaya, association, company, society, socializing. So I think you can be with others. Bhante Sujata says not crowding. Maybe it's kind of like mentally as well as physically. I think you can be like in a meditation hall and being quiet, and you have this inner seclusion. And there's not a sense of crowding. Everybody's giving each other space, and you're not socializing. That may be another way of understanding that, because you can be in a retreat situation these days, or people, there may be 30 or 100 people in a retreat center. So there's this inner seclusion that we can cultivate. I mean, I can be in a retreat situation, and I'll be glancing around and looking at people and making these judgments in my mind and how they're dressed and just really nosy. And so my mind is like crowded with all these people because I'm making whatever they're doing my business when it's really none of my business. So a lot of it's our mental attitude, or the person next to me is fidgeting in the meditation hall, and so I'm crowding my own mind with the thoughts of other people. So how can I let go and not be concerned about what other people are doing? So the physical seclusion is really a good support, but if we're in a situation where we are with others, we can develop this mental seclusion, which helps us. And then to energy, not to laziness. I love this word. It's virya ramba. And I was virya is energy, and ramba is to arouse energy, and ramba sounds like a dance. I was when I first was I had a course where I was translating some of the Pali extracts from the suttas. And so I came across this word, and I thought, oh, that's a good way to remember this word. But to arouse energy. And so making an effort is another way. See if I can get that. To make an effort. So I think sometimes we just don't want to apply ourselves. And some of it is our attitude, our mental state. And if I'm just, maybe I need to get up from the cushion or up from the chair and move around a little bit to get the blood circulating even, or just how do I interest myself in what I'm doing, or get, how do I bring up the energy? So he's the Buddha is saying, look at what's draining our energy or causing us to be lazy, inactive, idle. I mean, I think laziness of mind, inactivity. Sometimes I think actually just getting a little bit, doing something, or doing some walking meditation. Like if you're in a retreat center and you notice the mind, you're just getting lazy and just want to lay down. Sometimes maybe it's time to move a little bit. But so we're applying ourselves like offering some service or something like that, doing something that is positive and helpful. But there's also the energy of the mind. How do we bring up the energy in our minds? How do we get interested in what we're doing and bringing up that brightness of mind to arouse the energy? And so we can continue to make effort. A lot of times it's making effort to abandon the unwholesome qualities and to develop the wholesome qualities. So bringing up brightness of mind can be done in various ways, like the Brahma Viharas brighten the mind, developing metta or loving kindness and compassion, and altruistic joy is a good one. We're just feeling sometimes this laziness, we're a little bit depressed, and how can we bring up inspiration? So this is something for us to investigate ourselves and to being unburdensome, not being burdensome. So for a monastic, we're not asking too much of other people, but anybody can become burdensome to others, if we're not considerate and, maybe just taking up people's time or, you can, in your own circumstance, like, is this asking too much of my friend or my relatives, or am I imposing on them? So the Subharata, Su is good, actually, and Bara is the Bara's burden, but this has got a short A, so it's not, it's a slightly different form of the word, and it's translated as easy to support. The fact of being low maintenance is like well-supported state. And du is like dukkha. This sukha is happiness and dukkha is unhappiness. So du bharata, the fact of being difficult to support, difficult to support state is how it's translated here. So how can we be unburdensome, not burdensome, or not troubling other people? So then he says, categorically, you should remember these things. So dhareti is to bear in mind, keep in mind, remember. This is the teaching, the training, and the teacher's instructions. So I also have Bhikkhu Bodhi's translation here. It might be enough for now. If people have any questions or comments, I could, if anyone has a comment or question, you can put up a virtual hand or an actual hand on camera. Or should we just keep going? Can look at Bhikkhu Bodhi's translation. Okay, so we'll don't see any hands, so I'll just read through Bhikkhu Bodhi's translations. But Gotami, these things of which you might know, these things to lead to dispassion, not to passion. I think I got the wrong one here. This is strange. To bondage, not to detachment, to dismantling not to building up. I think this should be the other way around. To detachment. Somehow I got the wrong one in there. That's wrong. To dismantling, not to building up. To fewness of desires, not to strong desires. To contentment, not to non-content. To solitude, not to company. To the arousing of energy, not to laziness. To being easy to support, not to be difficult to support. You should know, you should definitely recognize this is the Dhamma, this is the discipline, this is the teaching of the teacher. So that's just the positive, except for I got this one mixed up. I grabbed the wrong. I'll change this around. Anyway. There, that's better. Anyway, so that is the sutta. And I'm going to stop the screen share. Does anyone have a question or comment? Yes, Nora?
Hi, thank you so much. I'm really kind of interested in why here she is, she goes to ask for guidance. And you said this earlier, but he doesn't really tell her what to do, but it's more about a how. It's like this ongoing balance of all of these different characteristics, and you have to do it yourself. He's not saying this is the answer all tied up in a neat little bow. It's like the unfolding of the path and the continuity of looking at the mind and constantly adjusting the mind, the heart mind. I just find that kind of interesting. And also maybe a little bit like, oh, dang, you're not going to give me the answer. A little bit of that. But of them, of all of them, the thing that really struck me is when you ask, what are we bound to? So the idea of the yoking, and not just physically bound, but mentally bound to. And sometimes I feel like I struggle with these undercurrents of maybe negative thinking or cultural training that as a woman, for example, I can't do this or that. And I'm bound to that. And yet looking at this, the Buddha is giving, in a way, I feel like giving permission to say, well, actually it's in your hands, which is quite liberating and also a little terrifying. So I just thought if you have any thoughts about my response. Thank you for letting me just respond.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, so it's good observation. Yeah, like I was saying that he was kind of giving confidence in Mahāpajāpatī Gotami's ability to discern for herself. And this is what we need to do, because I mean, the mind is so complicated, and there's not a one size fits all, but there is, I can see in myself these qualities and what's encouraging them and what's discouraging, and what is it that I want to cultivate and what is it that I want to abandon. So So knowing for ourselves is really important. And yeah, I think the thing about you're talking about the yoke, like what are we bound to, and what concepts of ourselves are we bound by, and what's limiting us, and what's in our way, and we at least have to start seeing that. And what's perpetuating that, what's feeding that, what's so what's, like I was saying about laziness, if we see laziness in ourselves, what's nurturing the laziness, what is perpetuating the laziness, and when I see myself energetic, how is it that I got energized? And like I was saying, it's like really becoming interested in something, or like I was saying, just arousing physical energy by doing some walking or something like that, but taking interest. So yeah, it is. We're responsible for our own practice. It's like, I like the metaphor of, if you are a backpacker or something like that, a beginning backpacker, you'll get the instruction of what to take with you. What's like the list, you'll have a list of things that are good to have. And then you'll have the map. It's good to go at least out with to start with other people that are more experienced than you, but you've got to do the walking, you've got to pack your pack, and eventually you're going to be with the map and having to figure out the terrain by yourself. Like there's a point that in our practice we really have to, we have to walk the walk, we have to carry, and then the more we put in our backpack, the heavier it is. So we have to discern what's useful and what's not useful. And just to be able from time to time to put the whole thing down. It's like it's so and then so we're responsible. We have to walk the walk. We have to make the decisions of what we're going to carry and what we're going to leave behind. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. Susan has a hand.
Good morning, and everyone. Thank you for the teaching. And I just wanted to say that um, it's interesting when I'm in other groups. There's this I don't know what it's called, but there's this idea that somehow if we cultivate the positive, these all these wonderful qualities that you covered, somehow we're artificially, bypassing reality or something, I don't, you know what I mean? Like some people there's a fear that I'm not, that someone's, I don't have that anymore, but it's something to reflect on myself. Just do I have this, but I bought into what Buddha's saying. I bought into this, like it's a good thing to cultivate these qualities, and we can brighten our own mind once you see, and there's nothing wrong with doing that. It's not artificially bypassing reality, and it's like somehow, and sometimes maybe there is a way people might Pollyanna or something. Maybe that's what people are thinking, that they somehow are, they have to suffer. I don't know if that's what it has to do with, but it's like we don't have to suffer. We don't have to stay in these really destructive, normal, worldly mind states. No effort, no energy, no, being passionate about everything. See, being attached to everything, all the damage that we do to ourselves, and we think we have to do it. And we don't see, no, we have a choice. We have a choice. And there's a way. Uh, and it's like some people, I don't know if you've heard that, what I'm
Yeah,
talking about, you know?
yeah. I
I don't
could
know.
I
what
could,
the distinguishment there is, but it's like they can't, they haven't maybe felt it yet. They haven't maybe experienced it for themselves. Like this is your power, your ability as a human. I don't, I don't know.
yeah, I could answer that.
Thank you. Please.
Sure, because think I know what you're talking about, and I've run into that. And it's like there's some idea that if I have some negative quality in myself, that's my true nature or something like that, which is
Yes.
a mistaken idea. It's like, okay, I can see there's greed in me, or I can see there's laziness. And I'm no, if I were denying, the Pollyanna would be, oh no, I'm not lazy. Oh no, I don't have any greed. Oh no, I have no discontent, then that's just like suppressing,
Oh,
pretending
oh,
pretending it doesn't exist, or
oh,
just
okay.
squelching, or
Yes.
anger. See, in this list they don't talk about, I guess discontent may be the closest they get to anger. But if I say, oh no, I have no anger, I'm a Buddhist now, and Buddhists don't have anger, and I shouldn't have anger, and if I feel any anger, it's not there, or I just slam it down and say it shouldn't be there. Instead, it's like, oh, I see I have this, I'm going to use the word lazy again. This this laziness is there. I feel lazy. I see the laziness. I can see it clearly. So I'm not denying it, but bypassing it would be denying it. And then I say, okay, so what can I do to bring up energy instead? Do I need to just, okay, this is my true nature to be lazy, and I'm just going to lay around and I'm not going to apply myself because this is my my real. It's like I have a, like you're saying, I have a choice. I could say, or, oh, maybe I'm actually really exhausted. I'm not lazy, I'm exhausted. So I'm examining, okay, or I'm a little bit tired and that's why I think I'm lazy. And so we have to kind of examine what's going on and say, okay, maybe it's okay to rest. And yesterday I had to make this phone call, and I was needing to change my primary care provider, uh, and so I was trying to think about how to talk about it. And so I was feeling, and I was just admitting to myself, okay, I feel anxiety. I feel anxiety now. And then the anxiety passed. And after the anxiety passed, I made the phone call, and the phone call went really well. And so, but I didn't say, no, I shouldn't be anxious. Or I'm a Buddhist monastic and I should be just totally free from any kind of anxiety, you know. And that would be some kind of, I think that would be more in the line of spiritual bypassing, that pretending that things don't exist, or I don't have those qualities. Um, but it's not my true nature. It's transient. Everything is transient. So I brought my the awareness and admitted to myself, I'm feeling a lot of anxiety here. And then it passed. I, well, I just had a cup of tea, and it's okay, I'm feeling anxious. I'm just gonna have a cup of tea. I make sure I have everything lined up so that I can, give the information that they need. And then I let myself just calm down a little bit. Then I made my phone call. It's like, and that's it. So my true nature isn't one thing or another. It's always transient. So I think this denial, if we're in denial, that would be the unwholesome. He's saying, also the Buddha is saying, we can see that it leads to this or to that. And that I'm developing these, am I developing contentment? And I say, if I see discontent, I'll go, bringing awareness to the discontent, bringing the awareness to the strong desires, bringing awareness to all the unwholesome qualities helps us let them go. Admitting to myself, I'm feeling I'm feeling angry, or upset. And we don't have to amplify the negative aspects. Like yesterday, I was doing some sewing on the sewing machine, and I made a mistake, and there was a little tuck into the fabric. So there was stitches into a part that shouldn't have been stitched. And then I could feel myself getting really irritated. And then I just thought, oh, I don't need to get irritated. I can just take care of it. And so I had a choice. So I don't think my true heart is to be angry and upset every time I make a little mistake. It's like, oh, okay, can I take, yeah, I'm unhappy because I have to, take the fabric out of the machine, cut it and remove the stitching. I stop in what I'm doing. But I noticed I made a mistake, so I can correct it. And I don't need to get angry and upset. It's an old habit. This is a bad habit of mine to, like in the past, just getting really, oh, I'm such a horrible seamstress, and I, berate myself. And this is, that's just feeding negativity. So, and just saying, oh, I see that I'm getting irritated. I see that, but I can stop it there. Like you said, we have a choice. We don't have to, yeah, there's a kind of psychotherapy where we dig up all our old resentments and all our anger and stuff like that. But we don't need to do that, because when we sit on the cushion, those things come up naturally. And I don't know. I've seen that something happened 20 years ago. It's like it's happened 20 years ago. And then the memory is tangled up with the emotion. And so those two things come up together, but that's not my true self. It's just, okay, there's a memory. Oh, I can feel the anger. And then I can let it dissipate. I can let it go. I think, oh, that was 20 years ago. I don't even know if that person's alive anymore. It's just some words they said to me 20 years ago, and I got upset about it, and I was upset about it for days. And then the memory comes up, and then the emotion comes up. End of story. It's like, God, it's, so I think it's a process of letting go, not denial, and acknowledging. So we acknowledge, oh, there's anger there, there's upset there, there's laziness there, bringing awareness to it. And sometimes it takes some time. Sometimes it was really painful because it was someone really dear to us, a relative, a parent, or, somebody that did something that seems really terrible, or maybe it was. And then these memories do come up during meditation, and we can just hold that. Oh, there's that dukkha. That was painful. That was 20 years ago. I was 5 years old when that happened. Is it time now to let it go? Is it possible for me to let it go now? If not, you can just say, oh, I still feel that pain. And it passes. It'll pass on its own. We just hold it. Say, oh, there's that pain. There's that memory. That was hard. That wasn't, it wasn't right what happened. And then can I have compassion for the other people, for their confusion that they would do such a thing? And then let it go. And so we're not denying or saying I shouldn't have these emotions, or there's something wrong with me because the emotions come up. Until we're fully liberated, they are going to come up. And then we just hold them with compassion, hold our hearts with compassion. And not justifying the other person for what they did. But just acknowledging this is the nature of this samsara, that people treat each other often in cruel ways. This is, and can I be, ultimately be responsible and not behave in similar ways? So, so I've kind of gone on length
you.
about this, but it is an issue, and I do hear it again and again and again, and so the Buddha's teaching isn't that we deny the reality of these unwholesome states that arise in ourselves or other people. But we're responsible for our own hearts and minds and our own behavior.
Thank you so much. That is very clear. I really appreciate that because haven't known how to what that's very clear. Thank you. And it as you were talking, I could see how much it's all connected to identity. These feeding these becomings, this wanting to feed this identity, or it's got that in there, and that he's talking about freedom from this just free. There is not really anything to that's ours, that's me, mine, or myself, that is that we could really latch onto, or that's it's a whole different world he's talking about. But thank you.
You're very welcome. So we can close now, and if you want to stay on, I'll close the YouTube, and then we can talk more. But it's little after 9 now, so it's time to close. So if you wish to join me, turning around to face the altar. Araham Sama Sambuddho Bhagawa Bhutam Bhagavantam Abhivademi. Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammam Namasami. Supatipanno Bhagavato Sawaka Sangham Namami.